Hello, welcome and welcome back to another Budget with Me episode here on MTT Finance, the channel where I do monthly budget and net worth tracking, as well as giving student loan debt payoff updates, all with the goal and aim of achieving financial independence, getting rid of all my debt, and hopefully someday having a net worth over $1 million. Let's see how that goes. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at my budget for September 2021, as it is the first few days of September at the time of filming this video, and I would like to show you guys how it's going so far this month with planning out my budget. Now, before I show you guys my spreadsheet for the month of September, I would like to just give a quick recap of how it went last month in August. I did post 2 updates for the month of August with my budget. However, after I posted the second update, some stuff hit the fan. In the same day, my wife's starter on her car went, and after we miraculously got that car started on the way to go pick up some groceries, we hit a curb at high speed and popped both tires on the right side. But the good news is that within a week we got both things fixed. Actually, the tires we got fixed that day. We got those fixed for around $80 at Walmart, and then her starter we got fixed for $100 from a local mechanic here in the town that we live in. If you guys remember from my second update for the month of August, I did have a leftover net income of around $2,400, and so it's okay. I didn't go into debt with these 2 unexpected payments, though they were a little bit of a headache. They were easy to cover, and we got it all taken care of, and now we're fine. So now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the month of September to see how my budget is going, and I'll be sharing my screen with you so you can see my budget tracking spreadsheet. And I'm going to be working from top to bottom, going through each of these budget line items and plugging in the numbers for things that have either already been paid or I have already received a cash amount for that line item. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have some bad news to start off with. Not super bad news, but it's just kind of how life goes sometimes. As you guys may have remembered on this channel, I talk about my job a little bit briefly. I'm an occupational therapist. I work in a home care setting, and with the company I'm employed with currently, we're paid, I guess you would call it, on a commission basis. Basically, if my week is really busy, my paycheck will be nice and big and thick. However, if my paycheck is pretty light, yes, it means I get home from work early, but it also means that my paycheck will probably be a little bit lighter. So each month I plan for around $2,200. That's after all expenses get pulled from it, Social Security and whatnot, 401k, those type of things. All those things get pulled, taxes, all those things get pulled from my paycheck, and I usually budget for around $2,200 left over. So I just looked it up, and last week's paycheck was actually not $2,200. It was $2,040.36. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Thankfully, it's not terribly far off from my planned amount. Yes, it's about $200 lower, but it's okay. That's how life works. Oh, look, it spits out the difference. I put in a formula so that would do that. I don't have to estimate. It's $159.64 short of what I actually had planned for. I don't know my paycheck number 2 yet. I get paid bi-weekly, and so I won't be getting paid this coming Friday, but I'll be getting paid for the Friday after. And hopefully things will pick up a little bit at work. I'll actually have this entire Monday tomorrow at the time of filming this because it's Labor Day, and I do get paid holidays. So that's a good news. I think it's actually going to be a pretty decent week because I have to fit 5 days worth of patients into 4 days. So I think we'll be fine. The next line item here in my budget spreadsheet is, as you can see, my dividends. Now, as I mentioned last month, these dividends, though I'm including them in my budget spreadsheet as a form of income, they actually aren't at this time coming into my bank account or my wallet, so to speak. They are going right back into my TD Ameritrade account and are being reinvested to purchase more of the stocks from which they came. If you want to learn more about that, I did make a tutorial on how I set that up. I'll leave a link in the description and maybe a little floaty bubble up here somewhere in the corner of the screen. So this money that I get from dividends from the stocks that I own, this isn't going to pay for bills. It's actually a pretty small amount each month. This month, it's averaged to be around $11.82. So 82 cents more than what I planned for. But I put it in my budget spreadsheet basically just as a formality to remind myself that after I'm done aggressively paying off all my student loan debts, I can start aggressively investing for my future. And I think it would be fun to invest in dividend stocks so that my dividends cover the cost of my expenses and my living expenses. Moving on to the next item here on my spreadsheet. And as you can see, I've added a new one from last month. If you guys remember, this was not in here, this cashback item. And I've decided to add this in here because I do use a credit card, and I do have some other things, apps on my phone that do spit out somewhat cash for me each month. And so briefly, I would just like to describe those. The first thing I have is your typical cashback through a credit card. I use the Amazon Prime store card, and I'm going to be cashing that out this month. I think it's been at least 2 months since I cashed it out, and right now I'm sitting at just over $52 in total amount of cash back that I can cash out on. So I'm going to be doing that this month. The other thing I have is an app on my phone called Chore. If you're not familiar with that, basically it's an app that gets installed on your phone and it takes over your lock screen. It puts ads on your lock screen, which can be inconvenient to some people, but for me, I just swipe up and the ad is gone. It doesn't really hamper and impede the function of my phone, and so I have no problem with it doing that because it will give me 10 cents every day. And that 10 cents can then be redeemed for multiple types of gift cards. However, I always cash it out for Amazon gift cards because I do a lot of purchases through Amazon. The other form of cashback app that I just recently started using is an app called Get Upside. And it's an app that has multiple functions to it. You can use it to get cash back at grocery stores, I think at markets, but I use it mainly, or I just started using it mainly at gas stations because it will typically give you anywhere from 10 cents to I think up to 25 cents per gallon of gas that you put in your car every time you visit. I've only used this so far once. I've seen some other YouTubers who use it and they kind of give their statistics and numbers for how well it went with them. I don't know how well it's going to work in my small little town because when I pop it up, it only shows about 4 gas stations that are eligible for this cash back. But let's see how it goes. I've only used it once and I want to see if it's going to work. If it works well, maybe I'll make a video on it and I'll give you my referral code, but I don't want to give out any referral code right now because I don't even know if this app is good. So those are the 4 different ways I get cash back, and I'm going to be putting it in my income side of the spreadsheet I have here. Adding all my cash back up for this month is around $65.49. Beautiful. Next up, this is the produce sale line item of my budget. If you remember from my money goals video I talked about how I'm starting, well, I've already kind of started a small little tiny business where I garden and I take some of the peppers and I make a hot pepper mustard or a hot pepper jelly that I then can and I try to sell to friends, family, and local people in my town. The problem with that is I'm not really great at marketing. I do have a Facebook group or business account for that or something. I don't know. My wife set it up for me. And we have made a few sales, but nothing so far this month. So maybe if there's an update by the time I release the second update for the month of September for my budget, I can put that in there. But right now, no sales. So that concludes the income side of this spreadsheet. for my budget for the month of September. Now we need to move on to the expenses side of things. This is the red side of my spreadsheet, and this is all the stuff that's either a monthly expense, meaning it's the same each month, or it's stuff that I owe to other people in the form of a liability, which I talk about in my net worth videos and in my student loan debt update videos. Let's go through and look at these numbers, and I will plug in what I have already paid or what I already know the cost for this month is going to be. Starting off with my mortgage loan, I own a home in my town, my hometown that I grew up in, and that currently is about $998 a month. I round it up and pay on an auto payment $1,000. Stay tuned for next month because unfortunately, due to property taxes and things outside of my control, this number is going up by about $59, I think, next month. So we'll see. I'll have to adjust my budget accordingly. But I already paid that on the first of every month, so $1,000 has already been deducted from my expense tracking. Moving on to the next item here, which is internet. I have Spectrum Internet, and that is a consistent thing each month. I have not actually paid this one, but I know it's going to be $49, and so I'm going to go ahead and put it in here because the price isn't changing. It's $49.99. Moving on down the list to my water bill, and this is one of those things where I don't quite know what to do. I get billed for my water bi-monthly, so this month I don't have a bill. I paid it last month. So there's two ways I can go about doing this. One way is that I just pay it each month, meaning I put a specific line item in my budget to pay $25 per month, and that way when it becomes due, and it's usually around $50, I have already paid each month the $25, and so it's already covered. The other thing I could do is just not put it in my budget each month. So then at the end of it, when I look at my net income, it's going to show up as I have an extra $50 left over. That could then be used the following month for my water bill. Really don't know the best way to go about it. I think for the sake of simplicity, and that way I don't have to rearrange my budget every month, I'm just going to leave it as an item here on the expense list and just say each month that I didn't have to pay it if it wasn't due. However, I might bump up the planned expense to what it normally is when I have to pay it bi-monthly, which on average for the year that I've paid for this home, it's been around $50. So I'll just bump that up to $50 and probably leave it in the expenses column. That way I don't have to delete things in the budget each month. That'd be really annoying. Car insurance, I get car insurance through Geico, and it is always, well, it's not always, it just actually got lowered to $118.14. Beautiful. My phone bill, that is always $101. I pay my aunt typically on the 9th or 10th of each month. Actually, speaking of the 10th of each month is my student loan bill due date for my private loans. And that is $800. That is not the minimum payment. That is about $500 over the minimum payment. But for me, I set my own minimum payment to be $800. That way I'm always paying extra on my loans. I want to get rid of them. I hate them. They're awful. Moving on down the list to my electric bill. And this is one of those things that's semi-hard to budget for because gas and electric changes each month. If you remember last month in my September budget, it was around $230, which was the highest month it's ever been. I don't know why, because I didn't do anything different from what I normally do. I think it has to do with the gas company, Gas and Electric, looking at my previous year's gas and electric usage. I wasn't here last year. Another owner was, and maybe August was a month they had their AC running all the time. I don't know. But this month, I did get my little email from the company where we get our gas and electric from. And this month, it is lower, thankfully. It is $62.10. I haven't paid it yet, but because I know what the actual amount is going to be, I am going to insert it here into my spreadsheet. So this month I'm going to be paying $62.10. The next item on the budget spreadsheet is, of course, the all-important grocery. Okay. The next item on my budget spreadsheet is, of course, the all-important groceries, which to many people who budget is one of the hardest things to track, because when you first start off budgeting, kind of like what I'm doing now, you will be shocked at how much money actually goes towards groceries, and then how much money actually goes towards foods if you eat out often, which I try not to, but it happens. So groceries, last month we hit closer to $200. I think in my budget spreadsheet I put around $140 or $150 or something like that. I know we've already spent, when we did our big monthly grocery shopping list where we go to Aldi's and buy pretty much all our meal prep for the month, it was around $153 if I remember the receipt correctly. But I know there's going to be things that happen throughout the month. We might host a family over at our house. We might go to someone else's house, in which case we might need to pick something up from the store. That gets included into the grocery budget. So this will be one of those things I will probably include in the second update for the month of September for my budget. Next, we have Amazon Prime, which is always just around $14. I'm sure many of you have Amazon Prime. That's usually where it is. Moving on now to gas. Oh boy. This one is unfortunately getting very annoying because gas prices just keep going up. I'm not really going to speculate as to why. You can all do that. Watch the news. But gas prices are going up, and they kind of fluctuate. One week it might be like $2.99, and then you go back the next morning and it's $3.24, and it's like, wow. And it just kind of depends on where you are in the city as to what the price is. So I always try to find the cheapest price. But I drive a lot for work. I drive to people's houses every day, usually making around 6, 7, 8 stops per day. Sometimes they're local. Sometimes I have to travel around 20 minutes to get to someone's house. Last month, it was actually pretty close to $180. I didn't totally factor in my wife's vehicle because she did some fill-ups when I wasn't really aware, and she didn't really track those. So we'll see if we get close to $180 this month for the month of September. And then the last budget item here is for fast food. And like I said, I try not to do too much fast food. It's not really the healthiest thing, but we do live pretty close to a McDonald's, and my wife loves getting Diet Cokes. They're $1, a large one's $1. And I love McChickies, so yeah. But I hope not to spend $20 each month on McChickies from McDonald's. But I just kind of put that in there if we go to, let's say, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, which I include in the fast food category. I will then add it into there and we'll adjust the budget accordingly. So right now, nothing totally crazy happening. I put in some of these line items for the budget, but really we're going to see once these due dates But what we're going to see is once these due dates actually start occurring and my second paycheck comes in and I make all those payments, student loan payments, gas and electric, gas for my vehicle, groceries, once those items get put in, we will then see what my total expenses are for the month, and then we will know how much net income I have left over to then put extra on top of my regular student loan debt payments, because that is my kind of main goal with my finances right now. Get rid of those student loans. Last month I was able to, I think, dump another $1,500 on top of my regular $800 payment for my student loans, so that's great. I'm going to keep budgeting because it allows me to track how much money I can put towards my student loans, and it also keeps me on track with not overspending on certain categories and being more focused on where my money is going and how I'm using it. So thank you guys so much for watching this first update for the month of September for my budget. Be sure to tune in for the second update and we'll see how things pan out. Hopefully we don't run over any more curbs on the way to. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll have to stay tuned for next month. Stay tuned for the second budget update for the month of September. Hopefully we don't run over any more curbs on the way to the grocery store and our cars stay intact. I am going to be trying to include a sinking fund into in this budget. I am going to be trying to include a budget line for a sinking fund for vehicle repairs, but I might do that in the second budget update for the month of September. So stay tuned, and thank you guys for watching.